and your husband comes home and is like, oh, okay. I'm so thankful to God. I'm so thankful to God because my husband loves to be home. Welcoming your husband home excellently is not a new concept, but it is a foreign concept in our society today. I mean, why would I have to dress nice or clean my home or do anything for a man? Well, today I'm going to share with you how that can be a blessing to your marriage and why we should think opposite to what our society tells us about what we should do for our husbands. And in this episode, I am also going to be reacting to one of my most viral posts where I talk about 7 steps to welcoming your husband home excellently. So without further ado, let's get into the information. But before that, I did want to share about Young Homemakers Club. As you may or may not know, Young Homemakers Club is a membership community for women like you who wants to be an excellent homemaker but has no clue where to start. Well, let me share with you a little bit about Young Homemakers Club. In YHC, there are over 7 teachers that teach courses and classes on things like etiquette, motherhood, biblical womanhood, wifehood, as well as working a 9-to-5 sustainably, exercise classes. There are so many things in there to teach you about being a good woman of God, as well as a wonderful homemaker. I created this space because I wanted there to be a community for women who are like-minded and want to grow into godly women to join together and meet together. That's why I'm very excited to share that we do also have weekly book clubs as well as a monthly girls' night where we get together and talk about the quarterly book as well as the Bible challenge, and we also post weekly meal plans in there for you. This community is a steal right now. All you have to do is go to younghomemakersclub.com and you'll be able to be a part of this amazing membership. So with that being said, let's get right into the 11th episode of Homework. Before we get into how to welcome your husband home excellently, I first want to talk about what it looks like when you don't care. When you just don't care about when your husband gets home and what breeds from that. Well, this is what a night might look like if you don't really care. Maybe you haven't gotten dressed all day, you're still in your pajamas from the morning. You may have worked really hard. I'm not saying that you've been lazy all day, but you just didn't really care, right? And your husband gets home and you're exhausted and you're with the kids, or maybe you're by yourself and you just got home from work as well and you're doing the dishes and you look up, hey, go back to the dishes. Hey, I need help with the laundry. I need you to take out the trash for me. I need you to go take the kids to the bath. And your husband comes home and is like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go do that. And you don't really put any effort to the moment that he walks inside. And even though I understand that so many of us are busy, I'm not here to judge you and say that you're not a hardworking woman. I know many of us are, but I'm saying that would you feel appreciated if you were in his shoes and he comes home from a long days at work and all he sees is his wife who didn't care about her looks at all and who didn't care about looking up to say hello or give him a kiss or anything, and the first thing that he saw and heard when he got home was a wife who nagged him to do things right away. I wouldn't feel the best either. And that's why I do truly believe that there are many men out there who just don't want to be home because their wives nag them right when they get into the door, and also don't try with their looks, don't care about how the house looks, don't care about food, don't care about them when they walk inside the door. Welcoming your husband home excellently can be a great way to be a blessing to your husband, also make him excited to be home and to start your night well. It also shows him respect as well as admiration and appreciation for being a man who provides and works hard for your family. And yes, I even mean that even when you work a job as well. I am someone who works a 9 to 5, and I am thankful to God that I do work it from home. So it is different for me. But even if I was to work outside of the home and I were to get home before him, I would do my best to at least do some of the things and the steps that I'm about to share with you right now. And that's not to say, oh, I'm better than you. The reason why I'm saying that is because I was the other wife, and sometimes I still am the nagging wife that's like the dripping of the faucet, like it says in scripture. And if you go to Proverbs 14:1, it says that the wise woman builds her home, but the foolish one tears it down with her own hands. And I truly believe that many of us are tearing our homes down with our own hands because we just don't care about some of these little things, honestly. But it really is a big thing. It is a big thing because how you welcome each other, how you see each other is a great way to determine a lot of times how the rest of the night will go. Let's pause really quick and talk about my favorite tortilla chip brand, Masa Chips. If you know me, you know that I am super against eating seed oils, and it's been really hard when it comes to tortilla chips because, as you guys know, all of the chips at the store are made with vegetable oils and oils that just aren't good for you. So that being said, I was so happy to find Masa Chips because they're actually made with corn, and it's organic corn that's naturally nixtamalized, 100% grass-fed beef tallow, and sea salt. That's all these ingredients are. I feel so good after eating these chips. They're way different than like the store-bought brands or even like the better brands at the store. These are the only tortilla chips that I trust. And the best thing is that they actually have multiple flavors too. So I have the habanero flavor. This one is almost reminiscent of like a Dorito. We also have the lime flavor, and I think this one is so delicious. And my favorite part is like even the flavored ones, they're just made with like organic lime. That's it. Organic lime, organic corn, 100% grass-fed beef tallow, and sea salt. So all of their ingredients are so good. They have the original kind, and then they also have the churro flavor that I'm really, really obsessed with. So if you are interested in that, like eating without seed oils, you definitely want to try Masa Chips. And my favorite thing is that they are giving you guys 20% off when you use my code homemaker. All you have to do, go to masachips.com, use code homemaker, and get 20% off on your first order of chips. You guys are gonna love them. You definitely won't regret it because they actually have a crunch to them. They're just so good. You'll see what I mean. So go and use code homemaker and get Masa Chips today. All right, let's get back into our video. So let's talk about a couple of the things that I have here on this post. And of course, if you have any comments, disagreements, this was a very viral post and there was a lot of people who disagreed with what I said. But if you do have any of that, just put it in the comments. Would love to talk. So with that being said, and I also want to share before I get into this and talk about welcoming your husband home excellently, I want to share that the reason why this is so important is because I am a woman who desires for my husband, and I think many of you ladies are the same way as me. I desire for my husband to love to be home. I am a woman who cares so much about the environment, the spiritual environment of my home, that I want my husband to absolutely adore and be excited to be at this house. And I know some of these things are like cooking, cleaning, whatever, but we can cook and clean as much as we want to. But if our heart posture isn't to serve and to respect and love our husbands, then it's going to be all for nothing. And I truly believe that the spiritual environment of our homes is much more important than the physical environment of your home. So even if you don't have the time to do some of these things that I share today, I do want to share that I hope you will do a couple of the first things that I'm going to talk about, okay? Even if you are a woman with a very busy schedule, like myself. So with that being said, let's get into the post and what I said and, some of the things there. Well, the first thing that I said was greet him at the door with a hug and kiss, and I stand 10 toes on that one. I think that one is so important. I mean, of course, it won't make or break your marriage, right? But I truly believe that if you can just acknowledge him and hug him, kiss him, hug him tightly. Say, I'm so excited that, or I'm so thankful that you're home. I'm so happy that you're here. That's one of the first things that I love to share with my husband when he's home. Even if he had to work later at work, and in my head, I was sad that it took him longer to get home, or annoyed that it took him longer to get home because he worked longer. No, I put that all aside and I say, I'm so happy that you're here. And I hug him. And I know there are a lot of women who also help with taking off his jacket or taking off his boots. I think that's all lovely things. And I think that's a wonderful way for us to welcome our husband home. And even if you are a lady with a 9 to 5 who might get home at the same time as your husband, give him a hug, give him a kiss, say thank you for being here. I'm so happy that you're here. Just being thankful that your husband is home can be like a big thing, because how many husbands feel like they aren't appreciated at their home? This can be a great way to welcome him. I also saw a post where a husband was like, "Oh, watch, right when I walk inside the door, my wife and my children are going to run up to me." And that's what they did. They ran up to him, and the wife made it a game to see who's going to get to daddy first. I think that's a great thing to do as well. If you have children, make it something where everyone's excited for daddy to get home. And, oh, daddy's home. I think like that is the cutest thing. One day when I have children, I'm excited to do that. But that can be a great way to just welcome him home. So that was number one. And number two, I said, allow him to lead conversation. If he doesn't feel like talking right when he gets home, don't press him. And here's what I mean by that. Sometimes, because I work from home and I do talk to some people, but I don't talk to people very much. I do a lot of self work, or I do a lot of my own self-paced work at my job. I really miss talking to someone, right? Especially my husband. I want to tell him everything that I did throughout the day, everything that I didn't get to do, all the things that I saw on Instagram, I want to talk to him about everything. But my husband has a social battery, especially, and he talks to people all day, and he has a very taxing job. So it can be hard when he gets home and I'm just yapping his ears off, right? So this can be a way to allow him to lead conversation by literally just being quiet. That's it. Allow him to lead the conversation. Allow him to be the first one to ask how your day was at work, so you guys can talk about those things. Honestly, just being quiet can be really good for a man who is really exhausted and he doesn't feel like talking. And that's something that we as women can do to bless him. And then in 30 minutes or so, when he's eating his meal or whatever, when he's decompressed, maybe he needs to chill in the room for a moment, then you guys have the conversation. Then you guys talk about whatever you want to talk about, or whenever he's ready. But just allowing him to lead the conversation is really going to be good for a man who's exhausted. And we don't want him to be more exhausted when he gets home, right? So that's just a way to bless him and allow him to relax a little bit right when he gets home. You don't want to just yap his ears off, even though we have the best of intentions, right? And you don't want to get hurt because he doesn't want to talk right away. That's one thing that I had to learn as well. Just because he doesn't want to talk right now doesn't mean that he doesn't want to be around me. A lot of times he just loves when I'm there with him and we're just quiet together. And I've learned that I enjoy it too. Sometimes I enjoy just being next to him, and he really enjoys when I'm there and we're just silent for a bit before we talk about our days and before he asks me. But if your husband right away is, "Oh, how was your day?" Da, da, da. Like my husband is like that sometimes. Sometimes he's like, ask me right away how my day was. And then sometimes he's just like, "I'm exhausted. I just need a moment," So I just allow him to lead the conversation, see how he wants to take it. And then it's okay. Like everything is going to be okay. But this is a great way to allow him to relax and decompress after he gets home from a long shift. So that was number 2. And now let's get into number 3. Have a warm meal ready. Ooh, this ruffled up some feathers. And I understand, right? Every other comment was, "Well, I work too. How am I supposed to have a meal ready for him?" I understand. I am not always like, sometimes my husband cooks. I'm not always cooking all the time. I'm not 100% perfect at this right now in this current season. But that's why you have to take everything with a grain of salt and do what works for you, okay? This is not like you have to do every single one of these every single day. But if I was a full-time stay-at-home wife or full-time stay-at-home mom, I would do my best to do all of these things every day. At least a few of them I do for sure. That being said, have a warm meal ready. I mean, ladies, how hard can that be? If we are home before him and if you can, start a meal, have a meal ready for him so that when he gets home, he can relax and then eat a good meal from his wife. I mean, that is just a lovely thing to do for our spouses. You can see in Proverbs 31 that she wakes up early to provide food for her household and a portion for her maidservants, it says in scripture. I mean, it is an admirable thing for us to provide food for our family. And I don't mean provide as in the monetary sense, I mean like giving food to our family. Even if it's some days where you may have to pick up food, just make sure that your husband is fed. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that we can do as wives. And like I told you a million times in the beginning of this, I desire for my husband to be a man who loves to be home. And I take pride in that in our marriage, that he really does enjoy being home. I mean, he told me the other day, I'm just so glad to be here. And to me, it sounds like something small, but to me, I'm just like, I'm so thankful to God. I'm so thankful to God because my husband loves to be home. And that is what we can do as wives, is build our home in a way like how it says in scripture, where we build our home up. Also having the fruits of the spirit, being gentle and kind, right? Just doing what it says in scripture. And a wonderful and lovely thing we can do is have a warm meal ready for him so that when he's home, he doesn't have to scrounge around for food or get a wife who says, oh, you can do that yourself. Because you gain nothing by being a wife who says that. You gain nothing from that, but you gain everything from being a wife who says, I am going to serve my husband. I'm going to make sure that he has a warm meal ready so that he can relax after hard days of work and feel appreciated when he gets home. You gain everything from that. It does the opposite effect when we withhold respect and appreciation and servitude from our husband. It does the opposite effect from what we desire. Because I know you desire to be loved and cherished and comforted and all these things by your husband. But if you're disrespecting him and not making him feel appreciated and nagging him and all these things, I mean, what incentive does he have to do those things for you or to be loving and kind to you? And even though I truly believe that in a marriage that a man should love his wife unconditionally, that a wife should respect her husband unconditionally, and that's a whole nother conversation. I truly believe that having these things, doing these things is a way to respect and show appreciation to our spouse. Let's pause really quick and talk about baby brew activities. If you have a baby or a toddler, you definitely want to get these decks of cards because these cards are actually purposeful playtime activities so that you can keep your baby entertained, but also help them reach milestones in their journey as a baby. One thing that I didn't realize is that babies' brains grow so much in their first year of life. And that's why I'm so excited, because these activity cards are so beneficial for your babies. And you don't even need really expensive toys or things that you have to get them. All you need is this deck of cards. So let's open one of them. Let's see baby racing. On the back, it tells you what to do. Race your baby to their favorite toy, place a toy a few feet away. It tells you exactly what to do with your baby. And it also gives you different photos so that you can actually have that as a reference. One of my favorite things too is that they also use a diverse images of babies. So cute, because I'm Hispanic, my husband is Black, so it's so cute to see like different colors of babies too. I'm just saying, like, that is just so adorable. So I really appreciate that they put so much effort into this. I actually know the owner of this company. She's one of my close friends, so you guys are helping a good small business if you also get these as well. And one of my favorite things too is that on the card it tells you different milestones that they're reaching. So you definitely want to try these out if you have a baby or a toddler and you want to keep them occupied and have playtime activities with them and help them grow. So I'm really excited that they actually gave me a 10% off code for you guys. All you have to do is go to babybrewactivities.com, use code homemaker, and you can get 10% off of their childhood decks. You definitely want to get them for your babies or for your friends. That being said, let's get right back into the video. So that being said, let's get on to the fourth one, which is dress presentable and groomed. I don't think this is hard. I really don't. I am someone who has a very busy schedule. Trust me, my job is busy, okay? But it is not very hard to spend 5 minutes to throw on something small. It could even just be, I like to get dresses. I like to get dresses and I like to just wear them around the house because they're comfortable. It could be a dress and putting my hair down, at least doing a little bit of something so that when my husband gets home, he remembers who I am. You know, he knows that I'm his beautiful wife, okay? I mean, he knows that anyways, right? Let's be honest here. My husband understands that anyways, that I'm his beautiful wife, and he knows that I don't need to do a whole bunch of things for him to know that. But he loves when I do it. And like I said, there is everything to gain from when I do those things. It's just going the extra mile. And when you go the extra mile as a wife, how much more is your husband motivated to go the extra mile as your husband? So that being said, dress presentable and groomed. Now, am I trying to say that you have to put on makeup every single day to look great in front of your husband? I'm not saying that. But I am saying that there's nothing wrong with throwing a little dress on or putting a nice little outfit on so that when he gets home, he sees, wow, you look so beautiful. And he's even more excited to hug you and hold you and do a little something else later. This is a wonderful way to just be presentable and show your husband that you appreciate him, that you care how he sees you, right? I mean, this is the one man that we get for the rest of our lives, Lord willing, that we promise that we are going to be with for the rest of our lives. So it should be the only man that we care about looking good in front of. I always desire to want to look good in front of my spouse. Now, do I always look amazing all the time? No, absolutely not. I'm not perfect at this. But I would say about 75% of the time that I'm home, especially when my husband gets home. It's usually when my husband gets home that I care even more because like sometimes I'm working and I don't really care, but I try to before my husband gets home at least 5 minutes beforehand or 15 minutes beforehand, put on a nice dress and do something to like show that, oh, I'm excited for him to be here. And then when he gets home, he's like, oh, did you go out today or something? I'm like, no, I just knew that my husband was on his way home, and he loves it. He eats that up. So that's what I'm trying to say for you ladies out there, like doing this, just see the reaction from your husband. If you're a woman, because I was that type of woman who just, when he gets home, messy bun, you know, ran in sweatpants, whatever, looked at him, hey, I need the trash taken out. Who would want to be excited to come home when you see that? But if you are a woman who cares and who's excited for him to be there, I mean, he's excited too, right? And that's going to get us right into the fifth one, which says don't nag him with chores right when he gets home. And this is something that even still sometimes I have to work on. But I think this is so important for us as wives to not nag in general, like no nagging at all, but especially right when he gets home. I mean, there will be times when you like really do need something like right away. And I would say even at those times that you come to him in a gentle manner, always come to him in a gentle manner, but especially in those times, because right when he gets home and he's exhausted, I mean, would you even want to get nagged with a whole bunch of chores right after you got home from a really hard shift? So that being said, I would just say, don't nag him right away. I mean, don't nag him at all, but don't tell him that he needs to go do something right away. Give him some time. And this goes more with what I said earlier about allowing him to lead the conversation when he gets home. Don't nag him with that stuff right when he gets home. Give him some time to relax. Give him some time to, conversate with you a little bit and whatever. And then a little later be like, hey, baby, do you mind doing this for me really quick? Right? Like just sharing with him or having that time to decompress, and then you guys talk together about what needs to get done for the rest of the night. So that's a way to do that. Instead of doing it right away, just giving him some time and then talk to him about the things that need to get done. I'm not saying that he doesn't have to do any chores because, I mean, all the chores are different for each family of what each person does, right? But I'm just saying, just give him a little time before you guys talk about what needs to get done for the rest of the night, okay? All right, let's talk about number 6, which is clean the house beforehand. And I think this is a lovely thing to do. If you have systems in place, keeping the house maintained can be simple if you do a little bit each day. It's a great way to also clear our mental space. And I understand that in different seasons, I mean, your house may be messier. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that too, because I understand that the marriage comes first. Like I said, a strong foundation, a strong marriage, and that you are spending time with your children and stuff like that. I feel like there's different seasons where the house may be a little messier than others, but I think we can still do things as wives every day to keep our home clean as homemakers. So yeah, I think it's a lovely thing to do before your husband gets home. And the 7th one is ask him what would make him feel appreciated after a long day, and just do that. And I still think that is a great thing that you can do. All of our husbands are different. There's husbands who would desire a certain thing and another husband who desires something else. So it's a great thing to just obviously know your husband, know what would make him feel appreciated, and do it. Make him feel respected and appreciated for all the hard work that he does. Our husbands really desire that respect from us. It says in scripture for us to respect our husbands, so I think it's really important for us as Christian wives to do so. So that being said, that was the 7 things that I said in my post that went super viral. A lot of ladies said that this is a way to act like his maid or like a slave, but I don't think so at all. I think it's a wonderful thing for us to appreciate our spouse and to make him feel like a king when he gets home, because that's just an excellent thing to do, right? And that's what this whole entire post was about, how to do it in an excellent way. So those were the 7 things that I shared on my post. I did want to talk about a couple of things that I saw in the comments. A couple of ladies said, well, it was hundreds of people that were basically saying that this is from the 1950s and that this is slavery, you're a maid if you do this stuff. I don't think so at all. I think it is a wonderful thing for us to take care of our spouse and respect him and appreciate him for all that he does for us. And like I said before, having that mindset of, oh, it's slavery to put something nice on and to cook a meal for your husband, having that mindset is not helpful for us as women. It is helpful for us to be gentle and kind and to do things for our spouse with a loving heart. Now, do I think that we should do this just to expect something from him in return? No, I don't think that we should just expect something in return from him because we're doing this. But I do believe that if you're married to a good-willed man who's a godly man as well, that he will want to be loving and do more things for you in return. At least that's what I've learned, is that the more that I'm excited to do things for my husband, he's more excited to do things for me as well. And it's this lovely cycle of us just loving each other as we desire to be loved. So that being said, I hope that this helped you ladies. I know this was just me talking about the post that I had, but if you have any other ideas or things that you think would be a lovely way to invite your husband home and welcome him home after long days of work, then definitely leave it in the comments below. I understand that this was like a very controversial post for people, but honestly, it's always the ones that I don't think that are that controversial that go very viral. And I really didn't think it was that controversial, honestly. I thought it was just a great thing to do. I also wanted to share that maybe on the days where you're exhausted and you don't have the dinner ready and the house is not ready, X, Y, and Z, I still think that it's a lovely thing to go up to your husband, hug and kiss him and tell him, I'm so happy that you're home. With that being said, I hope that you ladies enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next episode of Homework.